is my ASR Producers Podcast. I chose Phil Spector. He was born December 26, 1939, as Harvey Philip Spector. He lived in the Bronx, New York, and moved to LA at the age of 12 after the death of his father. Phil Spector is well known for his wall of sound production technique, in which a large, thick, rich sound is created from layering a bunch of instruments. In his time as a producer, Spector used the echo chamber in the Golden Star studio to his advantage. He added a lot the wall of sound technique to a lot of his production work while he was working there. To this day, the wall of sound is still considered a milestone in recording history. Spector is also known for having worked with a bunch of artists such as Ike and Tina Turner, the Beatles, George Harrison, Eric Clapton, Bob Dylan, and many others. His first popular work was with his group called the Teddy Bears. They had a top 10 hit, To Know Him Is to Love Him, but sadly their next album flopped and his band soon parted ways. After this split, Phil spent some time working with independent producers Lester Sill and Lee Hazelwood. During this time, he formed the group The Spectors 3, but after several failed attempts, they disbanded. After working with Sill and Hazelwood, Phil moved back to New York in 1960 to work with Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller. He co-wrote Spanish Harlem, which was a massive hit for Benny King while he was working with Jerry Lieber and Stoller. He also became a staff producer for Dune Records, produced Ray Peterson's top 10 hit Karina Karina, and became an AR man at Atlantic Records as well as an independent producer in this time. In 1966, he worked with Ike and Tina Turner on River Deep Mountain High. He considered it his best production work to date, but it only became a hit in England, and due to that, Spector went into a 2-year isolation in which reports of near psychotic behavior were heard. He came back in 1969 to remix the Beatles' Let It Be, and also worked with George Harrison in the 70s. In 1975, Spector formed Spector International, where he worked with Cher, Celine Dion, Harry Nilsson, and Darlene Love. Spector's last major productions were Leonard Cohen's Death of a Ladies' Man and the Ramones' End of the Century. In 1989, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a non-performer, as well as given the BMI Country Song of the Year for his composition of To Know Him Is to Love Him by the Teddy Bears. In 2003, Spector was under investigation for the death of actress Lana Clarkson in his home in Alhambra, California. He went to prison for murder in 2009. Despite his fame for developing the wall of sound, Spector was also infamous for carrying a gun and his erratic, violent behavior. One of his more well-known stories came when he was producing End of the Century by the Ramones. After a long day of recording, Phil was told by the band that they were heading home to rest and come back tomorrow, to which Phil pulled out his gun and responded, "You guys aren't going anywhere." It also says that Johnny Ramone turns to Phil and says, "What are you going to do, Phil, shoot me?" But later on in an interview with Loudwire, Marky Ramone claims that this whole story is completely exaggerated.